Okay, so I'm going to go through the application that I've created for CA3 mobile ordering, RateLocate Reviews Manager. It's on top left of the screen, so I'll launch it there now. So you're first presented with a splash screen with the RateLocate logo and a little loading piece of text just to inform the user. So what I've tried to do here is keep the design consistent with the actual RateLocate website, and just to create some consistency between the two. The idea for this application was, I see this as a companion app for RateLocate, where it allows you to allows the user to manage the reviews, on all the different locations that's stored within RateLocate. So just to go through the home screen here. At the top left corner, if I just click the little icon, it just gives me some build details, so some information about the application, who built it, the module it was built on, the institute, and the date that it was built. This is a component within Ionic. It's a popover component that's populated here, so I can just click anywhere on the screen just to dismiss that. So if you look down at the very bottom of the screen, then you've got the main navigation. So this navigation will be displayed throughout the app. So all these navigational elements will be available throughout. So if I hit the reviews button, tab at the bottom, so you're presented with a loading screen, and it was very quick there. But initially, what this will do on first load of this page, it will present a loading screen directly in the middle of the screen, just for first load to populate the content initially. But when I navigate away from this page and come back to this page, that loading screen won't present itself. It will just automatically load, and if there's anything new, it'll just populate at the top. Another implementation that I've added here in relation to the reloading of the page is I can actually pull to refresh the page. So I just pull down on the page, I can refresh it manually that way as well. So, it's just a nice way, I suppose. It's not intrusive the whole time for the user, that, it keeps loading and loading and loading every time they go back to the page, and prevents them from accessing something on the page for maybe a couple of seconds or whatever. So at least they can manually refresh the page as well. But what this page essentially does is it pulls data from the RateLocate database. So all these reviews at the minute are stored up on the RateLocate database. And I can essentially manage all the reviews here in this section at the minute. So if I go to edit this first review here, so I click the edit button. So I'm taken to the edit page, and as you can see, all the data for this entry is pre-populated here in all the different fields, because it already exists. So what I can do here is I can go in and I can change my town. So this list of towns here is also another query to the database, and this select menu is being populated from the list within the database. So I just go down and click Ballymahan, for example. Maybe I just want to change this. Maybe I'll just select I love this place, and I'll just say hello just as an example. And if I hit save review, so you can see now on an edit, and when it comes back, it'll present the loader again just to upload that entry. So as you can see, on the first review, it has updated with my Ballymahan town. My little smiley has changed, and the hello text has been added. And you can see on the right hand side across from the edit, you can see it was updated 1 second ago. And just to prove that the that the pull to refresh still works. As I pull to refresh, the time should change from 1 second to the current or whatever it is. So I'll refresh here now, and it's 48 seconds. So the pull to refresh is working. So if I go back in here to the edit screen, so you may have noticed that there's a button at the very top. It's very prominent, I suppose, and it's to remove this review. So what I can do is, if I hit the remove this review, I get presented with a pop-up. So I suppose it's a safety net for accidentally removing the review itself. So I suppose I've got two options here. I give an option not to remove it, or yes, to bin it. So in this instance, I'll say don't do it. So it was a mistake that I hit the button, so I'll say don't do it. So at the very top, then you're presented with a notification, a toast notification to say no problem, we won't do anything. So if I hit the button again and I say yes, bin it, so now I get another message saying it has been deleted. It redirects me to the reviews page, and now you can see that entry has been removed. And I just refresh it. So I suppose that's that part of it. So again, at the very top of this page now, I can go and add a review. So I'll just quickly add a review. I'll do one for Ackle. I'll say it's okay. I'll just give it a title, some text. I'll just give it content, and I'll save the review. And again, you redirect it back with a notification at the top, and there is the new review added. So I suppose that demonstrates adding a review, updating a review, deleting a review, some error checks, that you can't accidentally remove it, that you're given the option to confirm your deletion, and stuff like that. So I think that covers that section. Another option I've added now at the bottom, if you go down to the tab, and I'm going to hit locations. So again, first load will present you with this loading screen, and it's the same as the review section. Once I come back to it, it won't do that sort of intrusive load that I can pull to refresh here as well. So what I've done here is, this is literally a list of towns that's already stored in the RateLocate database, and I've just added this as a means of showing that I'm able to pull stuff, populate a list, and then push to a dynamic page to present some information on each of these towns, which is also pulled from the database. So we just hit RD. So it goes to RD, it pushed to a dynamic page, a dynamically generated page. It presented me with a map, so I've implemented Google API here. So what it's doing here is essentially it's pulling the coordinates from what's stored in the database about this location, so the longitude and latitude, and it's injecting that into the Google API, which presents me with the ability to display a snapshot of that area. So that's essentially what I'm doing now. As you move down, then you've got the town itself, just the name of the town, and some information on the town. So a little snippet of text about the actual town, which is also stored in the database. And just as a convenient option here, I've added another button that I can just go straight into add reviews from here, rather than having to go back to reviews and go back, and then to add a review from the review section, I can directly access that here. So I just push back now on the top of the page, go back to the list. Another sort of aspect that I've added here was, maybe if you're looking at the list and you say to yourself, oh well, been to Bangor, so maybe I don't want to look at the information, but I want to add a review about it. So I can swipe over and I can click add a review from here. So this essentially lets me add a review. It's just a convenient thing, you know, convenient access to add a review. And, you know, it implements another component from Ionic, so, which is, I think, very nice and useful for the user. That's essentially all there is on that page. If I move over to the contact page now, so what I've done here is I've added a contact page where the user can contact administrator for the actual app. So I've created a list of, you know, topics that they may want to contact about. So I'll just go through and demonstrate this. And so let's say there's a problem with the mobile app. So we'll select mobile app and OK. I'll just enter my name. So Richie, I'll enter my email address. And I'll say not a very useful message, but just for demonstration purposes. So I'll send it, and you get the notification that the message has been sent. The form resets itself. I'll just go back to my mail and hopefully I have this. And I do. So there is the mail sent to the email address I'm after provided. It's an app query. There's a problem with the app, and it's from Richie. So this mail feature is again, the data is passed to the RateLocate server, and there's a PHP file then that essentially grabs the data and handles the data through PHP and essentially sends the message. There is a native implementation of mail, but it was currently in beta, and you know, there was some reviews and stuff on it saying that it may not work as intended. So I've stayed away from the native implementation, and I've just used a PHP based solution. So if I just demonstrate error here actually, so if I hit a name, because it's required, so if I leave the name field, you can see that the name text box now has a red underscore, and this just alerts the user, shows the user that this field is a required field and it needs to be filled in. So again, it's I suppose it's error checking, and the form won't submit, you know, until these errors are fixed or the fields are filled in correctly. I think that's all on that page. So if I go to the about page, so the about page basically is a page that just gives general information on RateLocate itself. So what RateLocate actually is. This is all static data, so it's just a series of card components within the page, and I just populated the cards with data from RateLocate itself, just about, you know, calculating scores, what data is used, target audience, and what RateLocate is itself. And I've done this in an internal tabbed feature component from Ionic. As you can see at the top, there's about, video and images. So the about section obviously has the about text. So I click on the video.
Thinking about relocating, but don't know where to start? RateLocate can help. Simply enter the area that you're thinking about, add any place or point of interest that you consider relevant, like where you work, where your family lives, and specific.
So that's just a promotional video, obviously implemented into the app. Again, it's just to give the user some information on what RateLocate as a whole actually is, which I thought was probably fairly useful. There's another tab, images. At the moment I've just got some random images in here the plan was to add some images that was related to RateLocate. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to have anything relevant for this tab, but if not, I'll just end up removing the tab and just leaving the about and video in here. So I suppose that covers everything within the app itself. I don't think there's anything more. One thing I do have to say is that it was a much nicer process than processing was. Obviously, it's more catered for building apps, so which was a nice platform to work with. So if I just go through the workflow up here, I've got a tab open on the browser. So this was my prototyping tool. It was mockingbot.com, and this is the result of my wireframes that I've created within this tool itself. So I've created the wireframes and I've linked up, where all the buttons go to. So if I click location here, location follows the blue line and it goes to the locations page. So it just gives you a sort of view of, the workflow of the app, what buttons go where, and so on. I do have this as an image in the report. It's a little hard to see, but fortunately enough, this website gives a link to this actual page. So I'll provide that link in the report, so you can actually come and view this page and interact with the different links to different pages if you need to do that. So it just gives you a nice overview of the entire app, which is nice. And another thing that mockingbot.com did was it allowed me to use all these wireframes and the connections and essentially compile it into a sort of a prototype app, an interactive prototype app, which I have open here on this tab, and I have it stored on my own website as an iframe. So if I click the play button here, you've got your loading screen, you've got the RateLocate. So this is all based off of the wireframes. So I click the reviews section, I go to the wireframe review section that I've created, the edit. I can access the inputs, the demo inputs, edit the review, I get the success page, go to my locations, and I can essentially run through the whole app. Just to give you a much better feel for what the app is going to end up like. So I also have a link to this in the report, and you can view it and play about with it if you need to. So I think that covers everything, I suppose, in terms of the application, the workflow, and the wireframes generated for the particular app itself. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.